to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Make yourself famous.
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM Kyle Gagliardi, and one of my co-hosts is my good friend Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Kyle? Happy Thanksgiving week, and it's not just the two of us. We are joined by the full-time part-timer, the WWE PLE champion of OTM. Yeah. Happy
Hey,
Ian at Ian Garavaglia. What's up, dog?
What's up, dog? I just want to say this. I know we're going to talk about it, but what a hell of a weekend of wrestling.
Fantastic.
AEW, and we're going to talk about it here soon.
Last weekend, great. This weekend, great.
Oh.
Next weekend, NXT, probably mid.
Bang.
Mid at minimum. Like,
Let's
it'll
not
be good.
let's not disrespect NXT. They've been on a heater.
No, but
lately.
like hype level, that energy.
Yeah, I'll
You
probably
know,
watch it.
3 weekends in a row. Feed me more.
As the late Ryback would say, feed me more. I was going to say late Crate, but I don't want to put that on his name at all.
There
Sorry,
was a pause.
Bogus.
We heard the pause.
For a second there, I thought you were going to wish Ian a come Tuesday because it is come Tuesday. We're going a little earlier this week because obviously here in the States, we celebrate Thanksgiving. That is going to be happening this Thursday. So we're not going to record on Thursday. We're doing it here. And we said, fuck it. We're going to do it live. And Robbie doesn't care. He said, if it's a Tuesday, I'm there. He said, hola. Changing the language
Robbie.
on us.
He's in the building. Robbie in the building.
Love to see it. Yeah, Ian, you talked about the great weekend that we had. Ian was over for the AEW Full Gear watch party, Tucky, and we didn't just have Bogus. We had Mikey Kubaki Jr. and my cousin, Tyler Walk, show up.
Oh, that's why those dirty dogs submitted their picks kind of randomly out of nowhere. Now I'm starting to put the pieces together. Side note, Robbie Collins' name came out of my mouth today during class.
Really?
Whoa.
Can you elaborate the backstory on how that came about?
5th period, we're reading Lord of the Flies, a classic, one of my favorite books to teach. A group of British schoolboys ends up stranded on an island after a plane crash, and one of the characters said, "Bullocks to the rules." And I said, "Is that Robbie Collins?"
Did anyone get it?
Classroom that stared right back at me. I'm like, sorry, that's one of my buddies. It's one of my guys. Sorry, one of my good guys. So I did say Robbie Collins' name out loud today.
It sounds like
wrestling context. The bromance is heating up. Some would say
it sounds like Robbie needs to come and visit. That's what I'm hearing.
Tuesdays work for me. So
come Tuesday.
They definitely work for us, and even Robbie wishing us a happy come Tuesday. Thanks for joining us, Robbie. He also goes on to say, definitely something I would say, to be fair.
It was the
that checks out.
the,
Ian, you want to tell Tucky a little bit what happened? Obviously, when we were watching Full Gear, we skipped a match. We didn't watch one match. What was going on during that?
So we I wouldn't say skipped a match. We replaced a match with a match. I don't know how it happened exactly. Yes, we were children. One guy got hit. I think it was Vogus took a hit from somebody, and I said, "Sell it. You better sell it." And somebody dropped onto the ground, and someone started pinning each other. Then there was a breakup of a pin, and then a fatal 4-way match broke out. Ended up with me getting pinned and losing. I think it was Mike Kubaki ended up being the
I want to correct you. You actually tapped out.
I did tap out, but the ref was not there.
Well, I was the ref in this situation. Sometimes, Tucky, when you're watching wrestling, you just want to spontaneously start a match in your condo where probably everybody in my building heard us.
Yes.
I was about to say, you're not on the bottom floor.
No.
We didn't get any complaints, though, right, Ian? We were good.
As far as I know.
I want to see Vogus give Baki a muscle buster through the floor.
Well, here. Yeah, don't forget about this. I basically almost died twice during this match. I got put into an accolade. Miro's the camel clutch or whatever it is.
Jesus,
that hurts. And of course
Focused
the ref was out. I was trying to tap. I can't. I was selling.
It's a ref bump, Tuck. You know how those goes. I got to sit down for a minute or two.
Classic.
That hurt. And then later on, Vogus also gave me a paradigm shift, and I kind of put my head a little bit too far forward. Landed straight on my neck. That was fun. That was the end of the match. I was out. I was buried.
Speaking of the devil, Mikey Kubaki Jr. said Tyler tapped, so it wasn't even you that was a part of the finish. Ian can't even remember what happened.
I was dead.
But Kubaki is insinuating that the neighbors are pissed. We might not know that's 100% a fact, but they probably were. Before we get into what happened at AEW Full Gear, though, guys, it is a big week. We have another discount code going down this week at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. If you use promo code SURVIVOR, what kind of items can they get at the shop there, Tucky?
Dude, everybody loves Christmas sweaters. They're so hot right now. They're in. You got to grab one on the MarkWrestlingPodcast.com. We have ugly Christmas sweaters with our logos on them. Right here.
Hold on, there it is in the flesh.
Model that. So not only do we have sweaters, we got shirts available, different styles, different sayings, different things like that. And you visit on the MarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Your contributions, your financial contributions make an impact on this podcast. It makes our pockets a little lighter. It helps us offset some of the costs. So until we're big, bad, and famous, we'll kick it right here with our intimate community that shows up week in and week out, and hopefully over time on the Mark Wrestling Podcast, the contributions will continue to help. One of these days, it's going to pay for everything in a month. That's my bold prediction.
Ooh.
Or it can pay for me to go to Survivor Series, but I already am, so I guess maybe it could cover my ticket. I won't talk to you guys about the sales we make this week. We'll keep that under the table. Ian, tell us a little bit about the Main Event Wrestling Network.
Yeah, the Main Event Wrestling Network. We are a proud partner, and I guess yes, Tuck.
Is there a code?
Yes, code Survivor. It's on the ticker down below. I also said it.
That's it.
But yeah, the Main Event Wrestling Network, you can follow us at mainevent_net. It's basically a conglomerate of a bunch of content creators, and all we are looking to do is spread the love and happiness of wrestling, and that's basically it. We have a bunch of bloggers going on right now, pumping out content every single week. We have our podcast, which we are looking for more podcasts to basically just share. It's basically free advertising. That's really all it is.
That's all it is. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the more eyes you're getting on your product, the more we grow together. And that's the goal, like Ian was saying, with the Main Event Wrestling Network. Baki went on to say that it was easily some of the purest fun he's had in ages. Yeah, Kubaki stayed at my place until 1:30, and we had some great conversations. So shout out to him for stopping by. Eric Douglas is in the house. He said he's hearing voices in his head. I think we all are after how Monday Night Raw ended last night. And then Robbie said, Kyle getting to see the Viper, the Legend Killer, the Apex Predator, Randy Orton. I got to tell you guys, I've been excited for Survivor Series, obviously, since I'm attending. But the fact that Randy Orton's going to be there, his return match, his first match back, I get to see, feels like a big deal.
Yeah, and that's why you buy tickets to these shows. I feel like I've said it a couple times. Every ticket to a show is basically a lottery ticket. And you're trying to collect moments in these experiences, and knowing loyal listener Ryan Vogus, we call him Mr. Moments. He is present at every moment within the friend group. He's got a knack for it, like Barney from How I Met Your Mother. He always knows where the camera is. Vogus always knows where the moments are. This is one of those moments that you're going to experience, and it's kind of interesting because now it's happening, right? You've got the allusion to it, and now you have to figure out how it's going to get played out. So there's still something to chew on and mess with, and that's why we buy tickets to all these shows, aside from loving to pay $19 for a beer. Come on now.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. My brother is of age to drink. I don't think he'll be partaking in any beers, but I might have to have one before we sit down. But we will be talking about Survivor Series probably halfway through the show. Ian's going to hang out with us for the first half. as we recap some of the big stuff that happened at Full Gear, and then we will transition on over to WWE with just Tucky and myself. So, boys, let's get to Full Gear, and the first thing I want to talk about is that we still have the same international champion, as Orange Cassidy successfully defended his title against Jon Moxley. And Ian, I know going into this one, we talked about, how Jon Moxley probably should have been the champion even going into this show because of injury. So that was the thinking behind the pick. Goes to show we were completely wrong.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. There's been a lot of, I guess, questioning on where the Blackpool Combat Club is even going. We don't even know if we're supposed to cheer him on or hate him. You got the lead being Bryan Danielson, and still he's kind of teeter-tottering. He's going to be joining that new, whatever, tournament, Tony Khan, whatever that's called.
You win every belt that hasn't been on TV in the last 2 weeks. I think that's what the thing is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a unification of the Ring of Honor New Japan Continental Classic Championship, and then if you win the tournament, you're going to win the ROH one, the New Japan one, and then the one that we have too, and then there's 3 of them. So if you win this one, you get 3. It makes one. Ring of Honor New Japan, and then we have it's Continental Classic because Japan is on another continent.
Where does the 24/7 title go?
Right in the middle.
Yeah, but seriously, I'm not sure where the trajectory is though with Jon Moxley, especially. We don't know where he is injury wise. We don't know if he's going to be taking a break. I'm just so confused. We need answers from the Blackpool Combat Club because Claudio has been showing signs of turning face, based off the heel that apparently he was, because he was never really a heel. So many questions I have about that match. It was good, a great match, and Orange Cassidy retained, which he is, like you've said before on the podcast, arguably wrestler of the year. Up there.
Yeah, this just, takes his credibility to a completely different level, in my opinion, beating Jon Moxley, who is arguably your most decorated champion that has come through
and
AEW.
Got his ass beat.
Right. It wasn't like a back and forth match. Yeah, go ahead, Tuck. Keep going.
No, okay, he got worked, and they just built him up to be not unstoppable. He got his ass kicked, but he has this low level of grit, and because he kind of looks more like us, he's just more of a dude. He is very athletic, he is fit and in shape, but he relates to the everyman. And to Ian's point, what's going on with the Blackpool Combat Club? I think we should call them the Gray Pool Combat Club. It's very gray. It's not distinct right now. I agree with Ian's comments. What are they? And so that bodes with Robbie's comment as well. I might not know whether to boo or cheer the BCC, but I will always bleed for the BCC.
He gets it. I almost busted out the fake blood during that match and just was going to splatter it on everybody at my party, but I refrained from doing so. But Ian,
was this match before or after the wrestling? Because
way before.
Oh yeah.
The wrestling happened during the Young Bucks match, so that's why it's not going to be talked about on this show, because we were actually wrestling.
Nobody drew color. Nobody.
No color.
No color. No.
No color. I'll tell you what. I never want to see Tyler wrestle again because nobody delivers poor moves like him. They were bad. Regardless, enough about us wrestling. Orange Cassidy, successfully retaining this title. Ian, is there anybody on your radar that you could see maybe jumping into a feud with Orange Cassidy going forward, or kind of wait and see?
The names that pop up are the ones that have kind of been in the back burner, especially on Collision. It's, a name like Miro. I know he has this thing with Andrade, which is another name. Andrade has been kind of in that little pool of, we don't know what he's doing, but he's building up a little bit of steam. And anytime he's on the television, the fans are still behind him. So obviously there's still some juice to get pulled from there.
Juice to squeeze, I guess you could say.
Juice to squeeze, yeah. And maybe even a Wardlow, too. I don't think putting Wardlow right back into the MJF situation is really smart right now. I like the idea of MJF having a bunch of enemies at the moment and a bunch of targets on his back. But I still think there's something to be proven with Wardlow, because at the moment I'm not really bought into him. He's facing a lot of jobbers. Well, why not take a title or just have a great title match against Orange Cassidy?
I don't hate that. That actually makes a lot of sense there, Ian. Tino's in the house. He said, "Sup, guys?" Tino, Thanks for stopping by. Tino, I believe, will also be at Survivor Series this weekend in Chicago, so I bet he is looking forward to that as much as I am. We had Eric Douglas in the house. He was singing Elevated, Will Ospreay's theme. I did not have this on the doc, but since Eric is bringing it up, obviously the big announcement, you see Tucky's shirt if you're watching live, was that Will Ospreay is All Elite and will be joining them in February. So we were correct, Tuck, about the time frame of his contract. And they jumped the gun on the announcement. They said, here we are, Will Ospreay All Elite. You can't be that surprised to hear this news.
No. And to me, I almost felt a little bit of let down. I'm like, oh, I just thought he was going to sign anyways. Once his contract was up, I was hoping for a mystery out of nowhere. I didn't not even Rhonda. Because she popped up and everyone was like, no, it's not her. So I wanted someone kind of crazy, because in my heart I just felt like he was going to go to AEW anyways based on the factors. I'm like, he needs a little bit too much flexibility for WWE to grant, I think, for this next step for him. And I think ultimately, I don't think it's crazy to rule him out of the WWE picture quite yet, but a couple of years, multi-year contract, 4 years. How old will he be in 4 years? How old is he right now?
He's 26.
He'll be 30, right? If he does a 5-year deal, he's 31. That's peak.
Yeah.
And then he's got 4 or 5 years of the training and travel and situation, and at that point might be a little bit more settled into who himself. So that was my reaction to it. I am excited though. We get more Will Ospreay.
I wouldn't say that there was a deafening pop in the condo while we were watching live, Ian, but sometimes the predictable things are still exciting, and getting, Will Ospreay is obviously going to take their talent to the next level.
Well, I have some bad news and I guess some dirt to get off my shoulder. I saw a dirt sheet when I was scrolling through Twitter one day, and it said, it is official, Will Ospreay will be the person. And this was from, I think it was Sean Ross Sapp. That man got an unfollow right away, because I am sick and tired of that. Can we enjoy pro wrestling? Don't get me wrong. I love the signing of Will Ospreay. I think there's something to do with him. He has some stuff to prove to the United States audience, and I think he's going to prove that. Still pissed me off, though. I wish it was a surprise.
Yeah, I kind of would have liked it more in a weird way if it was Rhonda. Obviously, we saw Rhonda show up at a Ring of Honor taping. We don't know the current status of, her future with the company. Ring of Honor obviously being a part of AEW. Tuck, would you like to see Ronda Rousey actually sign with AEW?
No.
No?
Ooh. I don't care.
Really?
I'm not a Ronda guy.
That's fair. Ian, would you like to see Ronda in AEW?
That's just personal taste.
I agree, because I was also a Ronda hater, and not because it was the mob mentality that we usually see on social media on hating Ronda, because she did a lot for the women's wrestling, especially in WWE, obviously. I just hope that she had been putting in work and not just coming back for the money grab, if that makes any sense. I know she's been showing her face in the indies, but obviously she probably got a good bag to show up at that Indian pro wrestling ball. Now she's ROH.
I think signing with AEW is actually the perfect fit for Ronda Rousey, because we obviously know that her mic skills aren't the greatest. And they don't really, focus in on promo work and storytelling, at least with their women's division as of late. So,
unfortunately.
Yeah. I think she could flourish. It's something I would like to see. But going back to the Will Ospreay thing, yeah, it's the safe move. We talked about it last week, but still great things to come with him in AEW. Vogus missed it earlier in the podcast. He's asking Ian, which move hurt more, the Future Shock DDT or the Camel Clutch?
Camel Clutch, 100%. I had no escape, and it hurt. Everything hurt.
Was Vogus the one that did both?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah,
he actually turned on me earlier. It was a tag team match at first.
Well, actually, I would probably rather take it from Vogus, who cares about doing it well, and not
Fair.
T-Walk,
T-Walk would actually wrench that thing.
I feel like the worse you are, or more less physically capable you are, the unsafer it is, probably.
A T-Walk Camel Clutch would probably break my back.
Yeah.
Ooh, a T-Walk clutch, baby.
To the people that don't know who T-Walk is, that is my cousin. You don't need to follow him on social media. It's not worth your time. Robbie Collins.
He's a great human.
He's a great guy, but he's okay. Robbie said Will Ospreay will cook in AEW. Excited to see some of the feuds he can have. And he also said that Ronda Rousey has a U and has an N in her name, like CM Punk. So he's confirmed for WWE. Yeah.
Nailed it.
That makes a lot of sense, Robbie. I appreciate you connecting those dots. But let's move on here to some exciting things with AEW and the fact that we have new women's champions. Obviously, timeless Toni Storm defeated Hikaru Shida, and then Julia Hart went on to win the TBS title. Tuck, I'll go to you first. We talked about, this probably being the right time to pull the trigger on timeless Toni, and that they did. Did you enjoy the match? Right move? And are you excited for the future title reign of Toni Storm?
Yes. I did enjoy the match. I had like the aw dang it at the end where the mirror jewelry plate that she planted on her butt cheek, she had some trouble with it. It's like the wardrobe malfunction made it a little clunky, but she took it in stride. So I'm in love with the character that she's like playing. I think she's being over dramatic, almost cartoonish to a point. And I love all of the references about the script and sticking to the script. And it's just
She ad-libbed that match.
Yeah, the layers to the character are just a little bit something new and exciting. And Tony's capable. So she's great in the ring. And this character is something that I'm just interested in. And I think it shows Toni Storm's a little bit of range too, because she was punk rocker chick, eye black lady in WWE with a persona in the indies. And then this is kind of her second gear in AEW as well. And I think she's done fair at most of it. I think she was a little too vanilla in WWE. Like they didn't give her enough.
Yeah, I think we all can agree with you on that part there, Tuck. Ian, it seemed like Timeless Toni was a big hit with the newer marks that we're watching at her condo this past weekend. Talk to me a little bit about what you thought about that match.
Oh, the match was great. Hikaru Shida, as much as I don't like her wrestling style, I thought she did wonderful. I thought the idea of putting Timeless Toni Storm over with kind of like a cheating way, but people still love her for cheating because we just wanted to see her win. And I just kind of want to talk about like Toni Storm. Obviously, we've all known she's a great wrestler. She's never just had a character, and putting her in Outcast was an awful decision. And I'm glad they pulled out of that really quickly. And it was kind of out of nowhere. So I wonder if it was something they saw it was going nowhere. And so they pulled the trigger right away and got her out of it. And with WWE, I'm not sure if that was the character they gave her or they kind of gave her free reign. Because correct me if I'm wrong, it was only when she was in NXT. She never went to the main roster?
No, she did go to the main roster. We were there for her last match, Ian. You were in attendance for it.
Wow.
You know what?
You're 22 years old. Your memory is not great, pal.
And that was made mention of that night. Wasn't it known that like she's out?
Yeah. We had a feeling, and I think she got like a pie to her face or something like that. It was one of those Christmas episodes. But I talked about it last episode. I wanted Timeless Toni to win. I just thought they were going to keep it on Shida for a little longer. I'm glad that they chose not to. Very excited for the direction of that title now that Timeless Toni Storm has it. But I'm even more excited for the TBS title because I think that match might have been the most surprising, at least in ring. I thought the chemistry between these three was actually really good, Tuck. And I think Chris Statlander played that strong girl role perfectly, even though she lost.
Yeah, and that's the glory of the triple threat because it makes Statlander still look capable and strong. I thought there were many layers to it. I really, I'm not well into Sky Blue matches. I haven't seen a ton of them. So I thought that was a great showcase for her as well. And I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, and we talked about the evolution, Ian, of Julia Hart and her character. It obviously paid off dividends here because she walks away with the title. Talk to me a little bit about what you thought about the match and what you're excited about going forward.
I don't really have anything to add about the match. I am kind of, this might be the right decision for the TBS title because all we've really seen from that title was Statlander wrestling on Rampage every now and then. But now that title will be able to show its face, kind of like Rhea Ripley with the title with Judgment Day. Julia Hart can stay in the back with her title, kind of gloat about that title in the background of the House of Black. and we're going to be seeing it on weekly television, maybe rising a little bit with that title. So I think it's in a good spot. I'm worried about, I don't want her to be a fighting champion because I think she's still green enough to not have to wrestle every single week. Maybe work on her character development because obviously she's still pretty new. She was a cheerleader before this character, so it could show a lot of growth with Julia Hart. I'm excited for her.
And now they can use the TBS title if they bring in younger, more green talent for Julia to be the upper hand in for a while, build her champion's resume before they kind of introduce a big dog, you know. I think a lot of people win in that situation too.
I think there's a couple names that stand out too for next challengers. Obviously, I think the Sky Blue one writes itself, having a one-off with her potentially, because they did work together for a little bit in this match. Obviously, that didn't last long, but still, there's some beef there. And I think somebody that just returned as well is perfect for that TBS title scene, and that's Red Velvet. We saw Red Velvet have a good match with Sky Blue. I believe it was last week. So I think there's a lot of, exciting potential matchups down the road for Julia. But Ian, I love that idea of just not really making her a fighting champion. That's what heels should be doing. And I think she is that dark, spooky heel that you can just keep off TV. Maybe she defends it at every pay-per-view in the occasional collision. I don't care. We don't need to see it that often. I think that's a good point.
And it's going to be a new look for that title, too, because, I mean, it's kind of been the fighting champions title, the long reign of Jade Cargill, Chris Statlander. I mean, she had been fighting almost weekly on Rampage with that title. So it gives it a new look, which in WWE, we saw this with Roman Reigns. The guy barely wrestles, but, man, that title is huge. Yeah. I'm not asking for the TBS title to be something of a Roman Reigns title, but at the same time, it could be something, it could elevate maybe even above the Women's Championship.
Yeah, maybe. Time will tell. So congrats to Julia and Tony Storm for becoming new champions. Kine is in the chat. He said, hello, everybody. Sorry he was a little late. He was helping his mom sort out some stuff for the hospital. Hope everything is all right over there, Kine. He also goes on to say that I think this match was solid. He loves Tony. I'm so happy she's champion now. She's a great wrestler, and she's been needing a good gimmick. Glad she's got one. So, yeah, basically reiterating the points that we talked about with Timeless Tony. So we got a couple more things from AEW to talk about before we transition on over to Survivor Series. And let's briefly talk about that ladder match where Ricky Starks and Big Bill successfully retained those tag team titles. Ian, this was your typical ladder match in AEW, just fast-paced action. They tried to break the same ladder, it seemed like 5 times, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. What about you?
I mean, that is if any match was the AEW staple, it would be the ladder match, and they delivered. And I'm glad that Ricky Starks and Big Cass, what's Big Bill? Sorry,
Big Bill.
Big Bill.
I'm glad they retain. I still have no idea why they are tag team partners. I mean, they maybe have said something on Collision on commentary, but really
nobody knows what it means. But it's provocative.
Provocative, yes.
Gets the people going.
I'm excited for them in the fact that they could actually build those tag team titles into something again, because they've kind of fallen on the wayside ever since FTR dropped them.
Yeah, they definitely have. But I think this is exactly what the match needed to be. And we got, a retain of champions here, which makes sense, Tucky. But anything catch your eye in this one?
I have a question that I'm gonna say as a statement, but it's a statement, but I'm gonna say it as a question.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Big Bill isn't bad at wrestling.
No,
he's good.
That's what. I particularly came away from this match with that thought, not giving him much. Like, I didn't have a low bar or low expectations, but I didn't recall like this guy is pretty good at wrestling. But this ladder match showed it.
Yeah, and you had a little meat fest going on with him and Brody King throughout. I made the joke, too, while we were watching. I said, the house always wins, except for tag team ladder matches, because the house did not come with the titles. I'm sure their time will come, but congrats to Ricky Starks and Big Bill. They're going to continue their reign as AEW tag team champions. And this topic I'm very excited to talk about, because this is what the whole entire wrestling community has been talking about since it happened on Saturday. The Texas Death Match. Emphasis on death, because I thought both men should have died at least 3 times in this, Tucky. We saw Swerve go over Hangman Page in what was something that I personally have never seen before.
Dude, it was disgusting. I was uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hangman drinking his blood? Didn't have that on my bingo card. And they were hurting each other. Like, it was like frictional to watch. Like, it was uncomfortable to me. You know?
I think it was a good uncomfortable to me. And I say that knowing that I think they told as about as good of a story as you could tell in a death match, Ian.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a story just to show how uncomfortable that match was. Gags, you remember this? T-Walk, or Tyler Walk, who was with us watching, was adamant about it being a blood capsule. He didn't think they were actually bleeding. And then the blood didn't stop for the entire match. And so we kind of just joked about it, and he finally realized, oh my gosh, these guys are actually basically dying right now. Which I think that just speaks volume, especially with a guy that doesn't really watch pro wrestling. But anyway, incredible match, and it elevated the hell out of Swerve Strickland. And I think that match was built to elevate him past. Because Hangman, we already know him. He is he's the country guy. He's the cowboy shit guy. He's going to bring it every single night when he has to. Now we know Swerve can. When he kind of had that Hulk up moment and he started stapling his chest, that was one of the most badass things I've ever seen in a wrestling ring. Dumb, very dumb. Why would you do that? But still, at the same time, you would never expect it from a Swerve Strickland character. And I hope he brings that energy to other matches. Not actually stapling himself, but brings that like viciousness in his promos and viciousness with his work in the ring, and not just the cocky guy. I hope it carries over. I hope it wasn't a one-time spot, a one-time match.
Usually when I see matches like this, this is definitely the most extreme match I think I have seen, especially from a major promotion. I am uncomfortable and I ask why. But for some reason, everything just made sense to me on why they were doing what they were doing. Granted, some of these spots are completely unnecessary, but when you have somebody break into your house, stare into the crib of your baby, you're gonna have to go apeshit on that man, and that's what happened. The barbed wire spot, when he tried to wrap it around Swerve, and they were in the corner, and it accidentally caught, I think, Hangman's eye.
He hit him with the object, and the barbed wire came off the top of it and yanked his head back.
Like, this is stuff you can't fake. And I think I can confidently say that if it wasn't the best AEW matches of all time, that it was definitely one of them. Would you agree with me there, Tuck?
Oh yeah, that's one of the matches that gets a documentary, on the AEW network in 15 years or 10 years, like it when and I think that's inevitable. They're building this library and this catalog, and now they're going to know how to use it based on how WWE does too. And that is one of those matches that gets its own chapter. It's the Undertaker Mankind Hell in a Cell, in regards to AEW relevancy, in my opinion. It was a classic. But, I squirm, dude.
Yeah, it's a match I need to watch again. I haven't got the chance to do so. Kind said 2 words, holy shit. That blood spot was unreal. The match was everything you want in a death match. Probably his match of the year. He loved it. Pure violence. It was fucking awesome. And Ian, I don't think I could have worded it better myself.
Yeah, and coming from a guy that hates AEW as much as Kind does, those are some solid words.
Hey, he doesn't hate. I know he's going to put that in the comments. He's not a hater. Yeah, he is. The way he words.
He's not an enthusiast.
Supporter.
We all lean towards a certain company. Like Tuck and I, we lean WWE. Ian and Erica, they lean AEW. But at the end of the day, we all enjoy wrestling, and we think it's great, and that's why we do it.
You have to choose one company. You have to choose one company. Come on.
I tell you what, though, that match, I don't even think I need to converse with you guys. It has to be one of the 4 on the match of the year for the OTMEs. It just has to. And it's going to bring in a lot of votes, especially since this happened later in the year. So I'm excited to see.
It's got that late push. Yeah.
Tuck, if they don't know what the OTMEs are, I know we got some first year listeners. Why don't you tell them what's on the horizon coming up here in a month?
This will be the third annual OTMEs, if I am correct.
Yes.
Third annual OTMEs. It is the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast end of year award show. We look at the year, in this case, 2023, from January 1st to December 31st, or as close to we can record. And we have a number of categories where we let the fans vote. We create a form. We pick the nominees. We have a group chat. And this year we have the layer of one happy Ian. So we will be posting the form here shortly after Thanksgiving and letting it cook for a week, and then we will decide amongst ourselves and announce on the OTMEs who gets what match of the year, breakout star, men's MVP, match of the year. I just said that twice.
Pay-per-view of the year.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah,
there's a good one.
There's a lot of things we're going to be talking about. It's one of my favorite shows of the year. Kind does remember Robbie being featured on it, and he's asking, will we be having fans back on? I think that is a tradition of ours, right, to present awards?
Yeah, we've had a number of award presenters, special guests. We've had
Ian being one of them.
Yeah, and I believe it was at the OTMEs in year one where we made the Erica Marini announcement. Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Yes.
So maybe we'll have a big announcement, not to the level of Tony Khan's big announcements, because we know those are, on a different level. But yeah, we might have something cooking for you guys there. So stay tuned for that. And Kind did want to clarify, he doesn't hate AEW. He just likes Tony. He's been a WWE guy his whole life. It's hard to change and keep up, but he still loves some of their matches, like the Texas Death Match that we saw on Saturday, which was absolutely incredible. I can't say enough the good things about it. But the last thing I wanted to talk about from Full Gear was MJF retaining his AEW World title. Obviously, the story throughout the show, it happened with their match against the Guns when Samoa Joe and MJF retained the ROH Tag Team titles, was the knee injury to MJF, and they couldn't clear him because he was sent to the hospital. So the most logical solution, Tuck, to replace MJF is a guy in a walking boot, Adam Cole.
Baby!
That didn't make much sense to me, Tucky.
This was ass. Okay, we didn't need it. It was to me, I think it kind of dampened a match of the year candidate. And it's not in my match of the year contention. It was good. It was a good story. MJF, he was on one. He played the character to the T. I think he's just trying to build like a super great highlight tape for WWE, maybe. Like try to up the number. Because if you saw him in the post conference, the scrum afterwards, did you see him?
Mm-hmm. No, I didn't see it.
Crying, emotional. Oh my God, AEW's the best. I'm like, dude, this dude's acting his balls off. He's gonna follow the money, and I kind of hope it is for WWE. We'll see.
I don't want to see him in WWE yet. I think the time eventually has to come, but I think he's got too much steam and too much good things happening in AEW to leave just now. I mean, the stuff he's doing as a babyface, you could argue, is almost better than the stuff he was doing as a heel. It just sucks that he was a part of this story that really didn't make much sense with me, and it didn't make much sense with all of us, Ian. And like Tuck said, the match was good itself between Jay White and MJF, obviously telling that story of the knee, but where do you stand on all this situation, the pop and circumstance with Adam Cole?
At first, so let's just start off when it actually happened, when MJF actually got hurt from the Guns and Jay White. This was on the pre-show, so not a lot of people will actually watch the pre-show. I get it. They had the tag team title match. MJF and I guess Samoa Joe retained their title. Well, I don't know how that's going to work out, by the way. That's its own thing. Either. I don't know if Samoa Joe is a champion, but
no, they said he's fighting in place of Adam Cole.
It's still weird though. It still makes no sense.
It is.
I know what you're saying. I just want to put my
not great.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just kind of weird because it feels like Adam Cole was rushed. Obviously, this whole thing was very, very rushed. It was not the right time. If he's not going to be back in the ring and we're not going to see him wrestle, don't do it. I get it. I like the video call backstage because it's showing his face. It's showing he's still involved in the story. Don't need to see him in the ring. I wish it would have just been kind of like maybe a count out kind of thing where maybe Jay White's standing in the ring and MJF's being counted out while he's still backstage. Ambulance comes out, beats the count. That would have been okay. That would have been completely fine. I think that would have played the story well. Do the same exact match as possible. But I like the match. It felt weird with Adam Cole there. It kind of felt like he was held at gunpoint just to be in the ring.
Yeah.
Just didn't feel right.
Yeah, Kine goes on to say, common Tony random booking, MJF out, disabled man in. He also goes on to say it was awful. Definitely one of the things I disliked about the whole card. I wouldn't say it was awful, but I would say the storytelling was awful. Everything else was good. But the thing that I get out of that too, Tuck, is that Jay White can't even beat MJF with a bum leg. Doesn't that make him look weaker coming out of this?
Being different just to be different is not always great. Like this could be the first championship match of its kind, which I don't even think it is. But just because it's different doesn't mean it's always going to be great. And I think sometimes AEW will go one way or the other and kind of commit, and it just misses, and that's a miss for me. I would have loved a match straight up, and like you said, is Jay White like a strong, compelling character? He couldn't beat him on one leg.
I liked his gear though. That's say something nice about Jay White. I liked your gear, Jay, but I am worried about you going forward. Ian, I know you got a jet here soon. You got any final things before you head on out?
I guess we could do a little bit of a grade on what we graded for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, let's hear your thoughts on the overall show.
I'd give it an A-. The ending of the show, not great. But the rest of the show, even both of the women's matches, had great stories going into it, and everything delivered. I thought everything was well, and a lot of people benefited from that show. That's my grade is an A. Probably like a 93-ish around that age.
You know, now that I think about it, I think I might go A- with you. If that main event delivered, or they didn't even do that storyline, it could have been one of the best AEW pay-per-views I've ever seen. That's how how well I thought they did there. But Tucky, what would your grade be?
I'm in line with both of you guys, 88 to 92, somewhere in that range, depending on how critical you want to be of the MJF storyline. But it was a great show, and that one was worth the money. $50 a pop. I think AEW does try to earn the $50. I do feel that sometimes over too much, too long, too many matches, too long of shows, like some kind of like over fluffy. But 88, 90. 90, 91.
Yeah, and it seems like Kine's on the same level. He said B+. For him, to be honest, if the main event was better, it would have gotten an A. So, I think that's enough Full Gear talk. I know a lot of people are probably coming here to talk Survivor Series. So, Ian, say goodbye to the OTM universe and happy Thanksgiving.
I'm still the champ. Good luck. You're not going to beat me. House of Black always on top. See ya.
Wow.
It's House of Gags, but he botched the outro.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It happens.
It shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll try to move on after that, and we'll go on over to Survivor Series. Tuck, I'm obviously probably more excited than you are going into it, but the question I always ask Erica, 1 through 10, where's your excitement level for the Survivor Series War Games?
Like at 8.5, 9, 8, 9.
It's higher than I expected.
No, I think it's going to be a good card. I'm interested to see where they take this, kind of like heading towards the Royal Rumble, and what because the Royal Rumble is the first step to Mania season. So, Survivor Series, I think now as War Games, they're like the Allstate's like going to be sold out. You have never been to the Allstate with this seating arrangement. It's going to be a short Tron. That whole bowl, that whole upper bowl is going to be open. That's going to be pretty sweet. So
I'm in that lower bowl by the entrance stage.
Oh, dope! Yeah, the place is going to be rocking. There's a lot of good matches, and there's a lot of different directions some of these things can go. I'm interested to see outcomes or finishes in a number of these matches.
Yeah, and obviously we're doing this on Tuesday, so maybe a match or two gets added on SmackDown. That's what I want to talk to you about, Tuck. I feel like it is a miss not having one maybe to traditional Survivor Series matches. Because you look at Jimmy Uso, he just got nothing. Solo Sikoa, LA Knight. I feel like that'd be a great opportunity for these guys, wouldn't you think?
Well, and there's a way you can add it in too. If your team, you could put in a veiled incentive. Like if you have guys like LA Knight, Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, like they're a really solid second tier. You could put a match, even if it's a 3-on-3, Survivor Series 4-on-4, and incentivize it in a way to give you a reason to push some of these stars too. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to see, and it's kind of disappointing not having Roman Reigns, especially on the card for one of your big four, and you're not having Logan Paul, which maybe he could get involved into one of those traditional Survivor Series with an Austin Theory, a Grayson Waller. There's just so many other guys out there that I think they could utilize, but time will tell. Like I said, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so maybe they will. Kind said he's at about a 9.5 out of 10. It's going to be an amazing PLA. He's excited. Gunther vs. Miz is going to be a banger. It's going to be crazy. But his eyes are on Shinsuke Nakamura. And obviously that is not a thing that's on the card, not being advertised, Tuck. But I don't know if you saw the video of last night. Shinsuke referenced that you are close. You are almost here. It sounds like Shinsuke is talking about somebody that is not a part of the WWE.
Yeah. Did he say, "Look at my eyes"?
I don't know if he said that, but maybe.
Oh, that would be wild. I would like to go back. I don't know. Does he have a match? Are we putting that on the Google forum? Shinsuke versus somebody? Like, what's going on? This is weird. I'm kind of into it.
I'm very into it, and I like how they, for obvious reasons, but I like how this really has just organically been a thing, and mainly on social media, because these are clips they'll post after Monday Night Raw. Obviously, they cut the promos they show the promos that Shinsuke cuts on Monday Night Raw, but these, post-match interviews and stuff, these tidbits that you get on Twitter, that's where people are diving into this as, is this a spot for a guy that is from the Chicago area, had a decent run in the WWE. He goes by the name of CM Punk. I'm buying into it, and it might just be because I'm going to it, Tucky. But as we stand right here, right now, today, what is your percentage of chance that we see CM Punk at Survivor Series?
25%. 20, 25. The Orton announcement really sways that for me. I'm like, we're already expecting something big. Where does CM Punk play into it? Is it the Shinsuke thing?
I think it is.
I don't know. Shinsuke's not even announced to be on the card. So does he just randomly cut in the middle of
start off?
How you want to pop off Survivor Series Randy Orton and CM Punk?
Dude, just imagine Shinsuke starts Survivor Series and he said, "I've been waiting for you. Come on out here right now." And that's when you get CM Punk. I'm just saying. I'm putting on my conspiracy hat. I'm going to say it's 50-50.
You'll probably have another beer.
I might have a few because we got a hotel for the night now. That's breaking news right there, Tucky. The parents decided, screw it, we're not driving back. We're just staying in Rosemont area. So I got nowhere else to be after the show.
You get into that hotel right down the street or what?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, you know what one. The one where Mikey Wilson was screaming Adam Cole, bye.
Oh, yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
Kind said the Randy announcement is to throw off the scent of Punk's return. Numerous promos of Nakamura hinting at him versus Punk. So it sounds like Kind's a believer as well. I guess time will tell with that.
Kind's a believer.
Yeah. I wouldn't, but I don't know those words.
If
I try. We found it there along the way.
Yeah.
And Kind also went on to say that he's about 40% chance of CM Punk returning at Survivor Series. So let's get into the Survivor Series card. The WWE PLA champion has left. It is Ian, so he can't go first. So I guess I'll start us off here as we have Carlito taking on Santos Escobar. Obviously, this just came about because Santos turned at Rey Mysterio just recently. I think it's going to be a good match, Tuck, but I think it's obvious that Santos Escobar is going to be going over here against Carlito. I'm excited. I think it could be a good match, but he just turned heel. He's got to keep that heat.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Santos all the way. Why does Carlito need to win at
To
this moment?
defend Ray's honor.
Yeah, and then what happens to Santos, this new big heel guy? Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm going Santos too. Nice. This is a good first match, or is it a middle match?
Probably middle.
Yeah.
Gap between the War Games, maybe.
Yeah, 10, 12 minutes. It'll be nice.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be good because they're placing stock on Santos on a PLE, one of the big four.
How about his promo he cut on SmackDown too? Sorry to cut you off.
No, he's real. He's real. Yep.
Yeah, he definitely seems more natural as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
We got one more comment here before we move on to the next match. I'm assuming it's from Kine. It is. He said, Santos has to win. Fresh heel turn. He's got to dominate to an extent. Good match, definitely, but maybe a post-match attack from Santos to show how evil he is. And I think a lot of people are going to be going with Santos Escobar here, as they should. But, Kine talked about this match, how excited he was for it, and that it's going to be a banger. And it is between the Intercontinental Champion Gunther and The Miz. We talked about, a couple weeks ago, is The Miz credible enough to dethrone Gunther? I think most would say yes, but Tucky, do you think now is the time for Gunther to drop the strap, especially with the Royal Rumble right on the horizon?
No, I don't see him losing this one. I would be shocked if The Miz came out of nowhere with Randy Orton will be there. I don't see it personally, but I do think The Miz is a credible champion, and it would really kind of jumpstart him, put him back into that relevant picture again, which I think I might be into. So I think it is going to be a great match. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a match that I wasn't expecting to get at Survivor Series, but I'm definitely okay with it. I mean, we know how great The Miz has been throughout his career in the WWE, just Mr. Consistency inside the ring. And Gunther, that guy can't have a bad match with anyone, so I'm sure it'll be good. But I'm going to have to agree with you. It has to be Gunther here against The Miz. I still really don't know who that person is that's going to dethrone Gunther. I know I said Sheamus a couple weeks ago, but we haven't seen Sheamus in quite some time. So if it isn't The Miz, that's where I'm conflicted. Do I just pull the trigger and say Miz and because there's nobody else? But Gunther has to be the safe pick, right?
Well, you can pull up Kine's comment. I mean, he points at the fact that there are some cracks in Imperium, right? Miz's promo was fire. If Miz wins, Gunther rebuilds towards the Rumble, and then Kine's even got him going, winning the Royal Rumble and Heavyweight Championship. That would be quite the rocket, and I think Gunther is worthy.
Yeah, Gunther has to be at the top of the list for Royal Rumble favorites going into it. Whether he has the Intercontinental title or not, I think he still should be a favorite because he could just drop it at like an Elimination Chamber or something like that.
Yep, I agree.
So we both are going with Gunther to retain the IC title. We have one more title match to talk about, and then we'll get into both of the War Games. This is for the... I'll get to that. Trust me, I'm saving it. You gotta save
I know.
Things. Mommy Rhea Ripley looks to defend her title against Zoe Stark, and I think this one's simple. I think she's going to retain her title against Zoe Stark. I like Zoe. I think she's got a lot of potential. It's just a shame that Trish went away because I loved what Trish and Zoe had. I think there was more, to take a bite off the bone or whatever you want to say, that phrase or whatever, with Zoe and Trish. And maybe they do revisit that, but I just don't think now would be the time for Rhea Ripley to drop this women's championship, Tuck.
No, but this is going to be an ambitious match. That is my prediction. I think there's going to be some spots here to really showcase Zoe Stark and make her a little bit more credible while Rhea Ripley retains. So I'm actually looking forward to this one. I'm interested in Zoe Stark. I think she's becoming more comfortable on the mic, and even on Raw, without Shayna, she stepped up and was still strong and confident. So I like seeing that. So I think Rhea 99.8%, but I think it'll be a good match.
Yeah, this is another contrast of styles. You got Zoe Stark, the high flyer, and Rhea Ripley obviously being as dominant as she is. I think they can definitely put on a good show for us, but it has to be Rhea Ripley. She's got a lot of other people on the horizon, I'm sure. Maybe a match with Becky Lynch down the road. Kind said he'd bet the house on Rhea. Zoe is an amazing future star, but this is Rhea's era, baby. Zoe can wait. Match will be fire, though. Zoe's going to show her talent and show what she can do. And Kind, I think me and Tucky both agree with you there. So we both are going with Rhea Ripley, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Tucky, let's get into it then. It is time for War Games! And we're going to start with the women. You have Damage Control with Asuka and Bayley taking on the babyface team of Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and I'm missing one. Why am I missing one here? Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch. Duh, because Becky was just revealed a week ago. So you got the babyface versus the somewhat established heel faction of Damage Control. Obviously, Bayley, has some friction going on with this group, Tuck. Does that influence your pick going into it?
Dude, it's weird. The fan vote is being done by a potato chip company, so that's weird.
Ruffles.
Yeah. But hey, WWE, get that money. Here's the thing, like, I think the face team is like better, like more stars, more power, but like, what happens to Damage Control if they lose? Then they all stink.
Well, I think if they lose, it probably has to be because of Bayley. And then that's how you start the dissension of Bayley and Damage Control.
Yeah, because they've hinted at that.
Oh, they've hinted at it numerous times. It seems like they've been talking behind Bayley's back, but we don't know who has the advantage. You talked about it. They're voting on it right now, but which team are you going with? Are you siding with the good gals, or are you going with Damage Control?
Oh, I'm going with the good girls, yeah.
You are?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? That's surprising to me.
Dude, it's Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, like straight dogs. Shotzi, whatever. Huh?
Yeah. Well,
who else is it? It's
4-on-4. They're not doing 5-on-5.
Yeah, so...
But that could change, too. You never know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Becky, Charlotte, Bianca.
Throw in Jade Cargill if you do 5.
Bayley, Io, Asuka,
and Kyrie. Which, shout out to Io Sky. She has become Miss War Games. I believe she has competed in War Games every single year since joining the company. And I see her being the star here. For obvious reasons, she's the world champion. And I don't think it's the right time to start the official split of Bayley and Damage Control. I think there's going to be cracks in this match, but to me, you look at Damage Control, you got Kyrie, Io, and Asuka. The history is there. That's a cohesive unit. Yes, you do have the star power on the other side of things with Mount Rushmore type wrestlers, but they don't have great history. Look at Becky Lynch and Charlotte. That's a rocky past right there between just those two women. And of course, Becky and Bianca don't have a great history either. So I'm going to go with Damage Control in this one. I think it's too soon, like I said, to split up this group, but man, I am very excited to see what Kyrie can do, what Io can do, and of course, you have all that great talent on the other side. So regardless, I think we're all going to be winners getting to watch this one. Robbie goes on to say Kyrie versus Shotzi is unfair, is because we know Robbie is a big fan of both of these ladies. Kind said this will be a brilliant match. There's a very high bar in his opinion, and they should deliver. Do you have that same sentiment, Tuck? Do you think there is a high bar for this match?
I think they're going to be ambitious because I think both ways. You want to establish Damage Control and show that they're a credible threat. Like, even if it's without Bayley, like maybe Bayley's trash the whole time, like just skunked and not contributing. Yeah. That's a potential crack. And then the other team is wild. And then you have Shotzi, who will do anything but do it terribly. So it's all the right ingredients for kind of a car crash. I'm looking forward to it.
Kind of like what Kind was saying, Shotzi, a.k.a. Shitzy.
Yeah, not great. No.
Sorry, Robbie. I know you're a big fan, but I think that Shotzi is the perfect person to take the pinfall here, too. There's no chance Bianca, Charlotte, or Becky are going to take the pinfall if they are the ones to lose, at least in my opinion. So I'm riding with my girls. I'm going with the Damage Control because obviously I love Io. I love Dakota. I love them all. I
voted on Ruffles, so WWE.com/Ruffles to cast.
Do they show you who's winning the vote right now?
No.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, they should at least show the percentage after
Give
you
us a bar, yeah.
Guess what? Robbie just unsubscribed to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast, so we'll see you, Robbie. I like how we're both on.
You'll be back. It'll stinker. You can't get enough.
We'll see you for the men's War Games match. As we now know, Randy Orton will be the 5th member with Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and the good guys over there taking on the Judgment Day with Drew McIntyre. Tuck, did you go first on the women's?
I did.
Yeah, you did. Oh, great. So I got to pick. You know what? With WrestleMania on the horizon, I just think and you see in the background right now, if you're watching live, Cody Rhodes is in the background. I think this is all for Cody. This War Games match was Dusty's match. Cody Rhodes has never competed in a War Games match. There is just no way I see Cody's team losing here, especially with Randy Orton returning. That team is going to be so much fun to watch. I even forgot about my boy, Sami Zayn. I'm wearing his shirt right now. He's going to be involved in that as well. Obviously, Judgment Day has the history. They have the chemistry. But just like in the women's match, Tuck, with Shotzi, I think JD McDonough is a good guy to take the pinfall here. And maybe they start questioning even letting him in the group. But for me, this one seems very obvious. I'm going with the good guys.
Yeah, I am also going with the good guys. I think there's just a lot of star power, and you're going to have Randy Orton lose on his return. I don't think they will. So I'm excited. I think this match is going to go off.
Yeah, and it looks like Kine's already calling for this one to be a potential match of the year candidate. He said he's so effing excited. He predicts a 10 out of 10. There's no chance, like you were saying, he agrees that if Randy returns and he loses. Robbie goes on to say that heel Drew is the best Drew. Randy Orton will RKO Jay, in my opinion, who helped put Randy out. So that's a great comment right there, Robbie, because, Tuck, I don't know if you noticed it, but when Cody Rhodes alluded to Randy Orton, Jey Uso had a look on his face where I don't think Jey Uso was completely sold with the addition of Randy Orton. There might be some friction there still.
I hope you're fucking wrong.
But I'm telling you, go back and look.
Yeah, no, you're right. There, I remember like okay. Does he believe it or is it? Yeah, there was question marks. Yeah,
I am worried, and heel Drew picking up a win here would also make a lot of sense because, like Robbie said, heel Drew is great, and maybe that continues the relationship with Judgment Day and Drew going forward. I just think there's just so much history with the actual War Game structure that just leans into the story that they're trying to tell. Finish the story, Cody. This is that stepping stool. You win here at War Games, you're feeling the good vibes, and then you go on to the Royal Rumble, and we'll see what happens. But Kind brings up an interesting point, though. I feel that there's a cash-in, but if they make it Cody's moment, he won't. Hopefully there is a cash-in, though, post-match. I think we talked about it briefly last week that it might be too difficult to actually have Priest cash in during War Games. We talked about it numerous times on past PLEs that there is definitely a chance, but for me, this is the one PLE where I don't think there's a chance Damian Priest cashes in. What do you think?
Priest is in first with Rollins. Judgment Day sends in, because they have the advantage, don't they?
Judgment Day does have the advantage, yep.
They're 2-on-1 and beat the hell out of Rollins, and Damian Priest started with the briefcase in the ring. Cashes in, wins the title in the first.
Does the match as a champion?
Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't that be wild?
It would be. I don't know if they do it. I don't think they got the stones for that.
Like the second guy throws the briefcase, brings the briefcase in with him or something. Because
you have
to have the briefcase, right? You can't just be like, I want my thing now.
Yeah, you have like JD and Damian beat up Rollins because he's the first one in, and then that's when the cat. Yeah, that could definitely be something. But if I'm not mistaken, you are going with the good guys here, though, correct?
Oh yeah, good guys on top.
Yeah, and Kine likes your thinking on that one. So
thanks, brother.
That is all the Survivor Series matches that they have announced as of today. Like I said, very excited for it. And there's a lot of, question marks still on the card. Will they add things? Will we see CM Punk? Will we see Shinsuke Nakamura? Who knows? Kind of goes on to say, because you're allowed to bring in weapons, briefcase under the ring, second man brings it in, boom. So he's connecting the dots for us. We appreciate that. So I think now is about that time where we get to the MVM of OTM. If you don't know what that is, it is the most valuable mark, the person that is interacting, commenting, giving us the best takes throughout the show. And I tell you what, I didn't go to the chat to ask you, Tuck, but it was interesting because Robbie started hot. Don't get me wrong. Robbie was in there, but you know the man that came in to shut the door has to probably still be the champ. Am I right?
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and still MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, KYNE, it's time. That was a battle, though. It got interesting there for a second.
Well, it's one of those feel-good matches. A couple of nasty dogs getting after it, putting on a show. And still, at the end of the night, you at this point, I don't know if you love to see it, but you're getting used to it.
You definitely are. That man is dedicated to OTM. He's been down since 2023. I was going to say day one-ish, but he's been with us for most of the year. So shout out to Kyle. Congrats on winning the MVM once again. Robbie said, enjoy Survivor Series, Kyle. Well done, Kyle. The Mark World Order always wins. You know, they have their own faction, but they steal my sayings. What's up with that?
No comment. I'm factionless Jim, so.
And Kine wants to know when the merch is coming. I can confirm never.
Wow.
Can't confirm. Sorry.
I think that would kind of be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Mark World Order, like a faction within the podcast. I think.
Maybe he's onto something. Maybe we should bring that to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
And you need to create a House of Gags t-shirt.
All right, people. Maybe I'll look into it. We'll see. We'll workshop it a little bit. Well, maybe we'll talk about it in the Discord, which, by the way, if you're not in the Discord and you'd like to be, just reach out to one of us and we will get you in there. But, Tucky, I think that's all we got for him. Why don't you send us home?
Ladies and gentlemen, visit the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.com right now while you're waiting on the Mark World Order merch and the House of Gags merch to get up. You need to go in right now and get your seasonal wear, right? Get the ugly sweater, long sleeve. We got different designs, beanies, coffee mug. It's hot coffee season. I'm usually a nice coffee guy, but use the code Survivor, just Survivor, right? 10% off. And remember that that helps us. We really appreciate it. Visit the Main Event Wrestling Network at @main_event_net. It's a collection of wrestling contents, podcasts, bloggers, videos, a number of people. It's great. And stay tuned to our Twitter @PodOnTheMark. We will be posting a Google form here, probably on Thanksgiving or sometime tomorrow. I like the Thursday. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Maybe even Friday. We'll be doing things over here.
Yeah. So there will be a form, but we'll see how it goes. Until next time, next week, we'll have the Survivor Series review and the NXT Deadline preview.
Oh, man, I cannot wait to see CM Punk on Saturday. I tell you what, it's going to be
putting out the energy, and we will discuss Kyle seeing CM Punk at Survivor Series.
Oh, we're going to listen back to this episode and be like, why were we mentioning CM Punk?
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.